ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Real Talk here on TV 35. I'm your host, Pat Brock, and we've got the Moody family here with us that are going to be the new pastors installed for Word in Season Ministries, Dublin, Georgia. Hi, Moody's.
How you doing, Pat?
How you doing, Pat?
Doing well. Good to see you both.
Good. Thank you for having us.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
This is huge for you.
It is.
This is huge. Well, we want you to meet the Moody's, and they want to tell you a little bit about themselves and, of course, how they started out in ministry. I mean, some people have already seen you because you've already, been here, but we want to know more. Share with us your story. How did it all begin?
Well, my name is Mike Moody, and I'm just a little country boy that spent time in Texas and in Mississippi, reared by my grandmother, and so church was everything I knew.
Right.
And
right.
so from that humble foundation, just the love for God has always been there, and even just the call to ministry has been there since a young age.
Oh, that's a blessing. And this lovely young thing here to your right. Hi, darling.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Share with us, please.
So I am from the Dominican Republic. I was born there, but I grew up in the Virgin Islands. So I have different cultures to bring into the mix. And I joined the Air Force when I was 18, and I did 20 years. And halfway through my career, I went to Korea, and I ran into Mr. Moody, who followed me to Guam. And here we are, almost 14 years later.
Did you follow her?
I followed her. It was by design. It was by design. There was no other way that this could have happened.
Right.
If I had not gone to Guam.
Wow.
Yes.
And so Guam has brought you together.
Yes.
Thank you both for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you so for that. And tell us about your families, because you've got 3 kids.
We do. We have a son, DJ, who's 21, Deborah, who's 11, and Mercedes, who just turned 8.
Wow.
Yes.
This is going to mean a lot for your families. So you share with us about what that means for you as a wife and mother.
Well, it's a different responsibility being the first lady. I'm used to working in the background, and now that my husband's a pastor, I'm kind of being pushed up front.
Thrust to the forefront.
But, I've had the privilege to sit under pastor and co-pastor from Word in Season Ministries in Warner Robins, Georgia.
The McCulloughs.
Yes. I volunteered in the office for the past 2 or 3 years, maybe. So I've gotten to see what it is to do ministry from that perspective.
Yeah.
So, I'm really excited.
So you two are very well rounded because, Pastor, you're a minister of music.
Yes, I am a former minister of music. That is actually how we met.
Yes, I thought I married a musician.
Oh my gosh!
I
and then he threw in pastor.
Well, he worked it in kind of slowly,
right.
Because I was, a little hesitant at first. He started going to ministers' classes, and I'm like, what's going on? And then one day he's like, yeah, I want to be a pastor, and I really thought that it was just, that's your thing. Sure, go ahead. You want to be a pastor? Have at it. I didn't realize how it was going to affect, my life and the lives of our children and just our family as a whole.
And when you answer the call, that's huge, because you have to think about all of those factors. If it's going to whether or not it's going to put a stress or strain on your family.
Right.
How you're going to be able to balance your home life with your church life, your family with your church family. And how do you see it working for you all? Because you're very family oriented. And now you're going to have to really kind of stretch yourself a little bit.
Right. I think we've been prepared for that, Pat, just by being a military family.
Right.
That, as active duty members, you're on call 24/7, and those that are in your work center, those that you go to battle with, they become your family. And so if we put that into parallel with the church, is kind of the same context.
Right.
And so our focus and our job is to make sure that we understand that our first ministry is to our family, and that we're all in this together. And so that keeps us grounded, and also make sure that we're able to do things in excellence, and it's not a burnout, because we're all chipping in together.
Absolutely. Do you guys think that because being a military family, which really I believe has helped me, my family, my children become more diverse, more well-rounded, do you see that? How big of a benefit do you see that with ministry?
Well, I think for me, I've gotten to experience many different cultures.
Right.
And I'm Hispanic, so having that big family, it's kind
Right.
of just like adding a few more people
Right.
to it, but it gives me the opportunity to be able to relate to
Mm-hmm.
anyone. You know, I'm very down to earth. My husband is very down to earth
Right.
also. So I think that when we meet people, it doesn't matter, you know, if you're beginning of your life or if you're at the middle of your life or you're towards the end. I think that we can relate just because of the experiences that we've had,
Absolutely.
you know, being in the
Absolutely,
military.
because with you two being an interracial couple,
Correct.
that's fantastic because you see the climate of the city here
Yes.
and where you've come from, where you live, the places you've traveled.
Right.
And so this is definitely a commodity to have you here in Dublin, Lawrence County. We're so glad to have you here.
We're glad to be here.
Yes.
And you know, when you talk about the style of ministry, now, any preacher that I know that is a musician, that sings and preaches, Lord have mercy. He's do you incorporate those giftings into when you minister?
I do. I believe there's a holistic approach to ministry, and so once again, as one who likes to serve wherever you're needed and wherever the call is, that's what I bring to the table. And
Yeah.
so some days you may hear me sing, you may hear me holler, and some days you may just hear me teach. And so you just never know, just
Right.
depending how all that goes. But one thing that remains the same is the passion towards it all.
Absolutely. And speaking of that passion, that's what drives you to serve, isn't it, Claudia?
Yes, it is. I have a heart for people. I want to see people do better, not just spiritually, but physically, financially. It's very important to me. I think that if we don't meet people's needs, then they're not going to be able to focus on,
Right.
you know, the God that we're talking about. You know, if you're worried about what you're going to eat or how you're going to pay your bills,
Right.
then it's kind of hard to focus on this God that you've never met.
Right.
Never
So,
met it.
yeah.
And you know, have you noticed there's so many people that are turned off from church? Church.
Right.
Because they see so many pastors go wayward, you know, or live contrary lives. Tell us about how that affects you as a minister and how you want to see that change or to be the change.
It's definitely challenging, especially in our world today, and the stigma that preachers have or pastors have, and the church, and how that reflects. And so, as we know, bad news travels fast, and it's hard to regain that. But it's my goal and my focus just to lead a life that's pleasing to God, and that by
Amen.
my life being the example that I'm able to live out the very thing that I preach week in and week out, and that somebody will hopefully see me and say, no, not everyone's like that.
Absolutely right. We're going to take a commercial break and we'll get back to it, okay? We'll be back in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, with the Moody's.
To better serve our members, Altamaha EMC has opened a new customer service office in East Dublin. The office is located at 679 at Beckham Road, open 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. We also have a night drop and kiosk machine for after-hour payments. It's convenient, it's safe, and here for you. Altamaha EMC. Stop by and see us today at 679 at Beckham Road in East Dublin. Altamaha EMC can be reached at 912-526-8181. Community owned, community built, community builder. Altamaha Electric Membership Corporation.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, speaking with Pastor Moody and his lovely wife, Claudia. Now, Pastor, you got a big thing coming up. We're talking about your ordination service. This is huge.
Yes, it is.
Share with the people about that.
Well, March 3rd, 4 p.m., it's the official installation service. As the pastor, of course, I was appointed on January 1st of this year.
Oh, wow.
And so I have coming up on 2 months with pastor and people, but this is to make it official, the sacred and orderly ceremony
Right.
that places me in the office of the pastor. And so I'm excited.
This is exciting.
Yes, it is. It is.
And so this is March 3rd at 4 p.m.
Yes.
And, you know, if you don't know the location of this church, for people who live here, it's the old Salvation Army, where the
Yes.
Salvation Army used to be on Telfair Street, but you all have transformed it. Is that right?
It's
Yes.
transformed.
Tell us about this transformation.
It was definitely a godsend. We were looking for a new location, kind of a better location to be closer to the city and closer to the people. And we left service one night, one day, and we actually was having dinner, and we just decided to ride around and get to know the city.
Right.
And we saw a vacant building that said for lease, and we turned around, whipped around, and called, and sure enough, we got a hold of the broker, the realtor, and it's like I said, it's Godsend.
Look at God, how God works and operates.
Yeah.
And you know, I believe that you two are very faith-based, where you definitely rely heavily on your faith.
Yes.
What type, when you say you're calling into ministry, and certain people, certain pastors reach certain people, you know, where you have a ministry to definitely help the ones that are really downtrodden, ones who, where if you have a gifting in finance, so definitely that part, where you talk about being holistic.
Right.
What is your area of expertise, would you say, in the ministry?
My expertise is being practical. Is being practical. I do have a degree in Christian ministries, and a big part of that was practical ministries. And yes, it's good to talk about the spiritual aspects of life and our soul salvation, but at the same time, people have real needs on a day-to-day basis, and where that could be emotionally, physically, financially, relationally, and those needs still need to be met. And so between me and my wife, we work well in those giftings, that we can relate, you know, to those that are in need.
I've seen both of you where it's been something here in the city where I've seen you serving. And I remember when I first saw you, I had recognized your face, but didn't quite know who you were. And then I saw you at a gala, and you're like, it's me.
Sounds like him.
And I'm like, I don't know who this man is, but he's sniggling and giggling. But then when I remembered, and I was like, oh, that's Pastor Moody. And so, you know, you're having to kind of get your feet wet in the community. And so, in what ways are you really wanting to connect to the community?
Well, to start out, just getting to know my face. We have a billboard out by the church
With your face.
with my face, and so, and then for the MLK parade, we were out passing out flyers with our face. And my job now is just to put a face to the face. And so I want to be out to touch hands, shake hands. Get to know those in which I get to serve.
Absolutely.
You know, not wait for them to try to come into the four walls, but us go out and meet them where they are.
And Miss Claudia, that's right down your alley, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am. So for me, you know, I kind of want us to get to know the community, you know, the community that we're serving, the needs of the people. I've taught a few Financial Peace University classes in Warner Robins, so, you know, I'm looking forward to maybe doing that here. When we found the building at the Salvation Army, you know, they had I think a food pantry maybe, and there are different things that they did as a ministry that I wish that, or I hope that in the future we'll be able to incorporate, you know, maybe some clothing or some food or a soup kitchen type stuff, you know, just to meet the needs of the people.
Right,
Yes.
that's good. And so you're thinking about, like, so the different type ministries you're going to have under this umbrella of Word in Season, Dublin. So what type ministries will you be having with the church? We have drama, we have youth.
It's our goal to eventually expand to those, to expand our youth ministry, to expand our missions and outreach, even our evangelism. Like I said, we can't wait for them to come in.
That's right.
And so our goal is to go out, and as they come in, we'll grow those from there. Of course, with my wife being Hispanic, and she can reach a whole demographic that I can't, and so she speaks Spanish fluently. It is really her first language, and so
English is your second language.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I was about 7 years old when I started learning English.
So look at this, for one, the cultural diversity here just between the two of you and the demographics in which you're able to reach.
yes,
That speaks volumes. To be a voice to sometimes the voiceless.
yes,
And in ministry, especially when you want to get into those trenches to reach people, the unchurched.
right,
I mean, it requires just such a special gift, you know, to be able to do that kind of mission work, you know, to do the evangelism in the streets. Do you feel like that kind of ministry is, do you feel like it's lost, or do you find that people are losing heart in salvation and Christianity?
I believe that we've just reached a generation now where the world has more of an influence on them, and it speaks more volumes than the church. Not that the church is not doing her job, it's just that the world has this stranglehold in that at every turn, every device, everywhere we go, the world is there to consume us. And so we have to be more intentional as a church to kind of take some of that the world is using and say, hey, let's turn this for God and be able to reach them. And I believe as a young man that we'll be able to reach those millennials and those that are coming up, bringing up the rear, that we can get back to training them up in the way that they should go.
That's right. And for you, having been raised by your grandmother, raised in the church, correct? What about you, Claudia?
So I grew up Catholic.
Wow, so look at this.
Yes.
Is this a non-denominational church?
It is a non-denominational.
Yes, ma'am.
Raised Catholic.
I was raised Catholic, and when I came in the military, I was the Catholic chapel guide. But I grew up on an island, and the flavor of the Catholic Church on the island is a lot like the flavor of the non-denominational, really gospel black church that is here in the U.S. And I heard them singing, and I was like, that sounds like what I'm used to.
Wow.
And I started going to the Protestant service when I was in basic training, and here I am, years later.
Wow, an island girl.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Catholic island girl.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Transformed.
Yes.
Into the non-denominational preacher's wife.
Yes, ma'am.
Look at God.
Yes, never thought I'd see that.
And here you are. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen, to kind of close things out about the Moody's and the message they want the people of Dublin, Lawrence County to have and to know about them and their church ministry.
Portions of this program are brought to you by Fairview Park Hospital, a leader in healthcare for Dublin, Lawrence, and surrounding communities, providing specialty services through facilities such as our Sleep Center, Heart Center, and Women's Imaging Center.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with the Moody's, and I tell you, it's been so interesting having the opportunity to have you in the studio, and it's exciting because you're about to have this huge service on the 3rd. Do you have butterflies?
I do.
I have butterflies.
You have butterflies?
Yes.
It's been a long time in the making, and you would think after a couple of months of this, it's still. I guess the excitement of it all. I've had the support of friends and family, and so many that are coming from out of town.
I was going to ask you that.
And so, just to have the support, and then to have Claudia and my family behind me 100%. As I attempt to lead them and people in the way of God. It's just an awesome thing.
This is awesome. And it should be very humbling, too.
It is.
For God chose you.
It is. Quick testimony. While I was at this Pineywood school in high school, it was a boarding school, I almost was kicked out of school my senior year, almost expelled. And when I got to the dorm parents' office, he said to me and 3 other young men that he didn't like one of the young men. But luckily, because of me and another young man, he thought we had a future.
Look at that.
And for somebody to even speak that over my life when I wasn't thinking about it at the time, it still rings volumes today, that to see on a Hallmark occasion such as this, that somebody still thought I had a future.
Wow. To see that in you.
Yes.
Had he not even said that, your life could have been totally different.
Definitely. It definitely has had its twists and turns, but that one statement has always been in the back of my mind.
Look at that. You're like a driving force.
Yes.
To help you to keep going.
Yes.
Claudia, as I look at you and how you're looking at your husband in sheer adoration, what does it feel like for you gearing up for this huge ceremony?
It's a little scary.
Yeah.
I never thought that, or I wasn't expecting that my husband would become a pastor. Like I said, I thought he was going to be, he was a musician. Yeah, not a pastor. So I feel that there's a lot of responsibility, that I have a responsibility to make sure, that I'm praying and that I'm reading my word, and that I'm, girding myself up to be available for people. Because, I'm a people person, and it's one, I'm good one-on-one, and I can pour myself out into somebody one-on-one, but I'm like this is more than one person.
Yes.
So there's a lot of responsibility there.
And the word speaks about to whom much is given, much is required. And this, this is a celebration.
Yes.
But at the same time, the seriousness behind it to what this mantle means as you embrace it.
Yes.
To fully embrace it. When you see your family, your friends, your loved ones, the people of this city come together for one, to celebrate you and to help gird you up.
Yes.
That's huge.
It is. It is.
What does your family say about this?
My family's behind me 100%.
Yeah.
They are proud of me. They understand where I've come from.
Oh my goodness.
Where I've been, and so they know the whole story. And to see this, they're godly proud of me.
Yeah.
And so I thank them from the bottom of my heart, because they've had my back, and no one's ever questioned or are you sure or anything like this.
Right.
Their congratulations. Continue to do what God has called
Look
you
at
to do.
that. Now, is your grandmother still alive?
She is not. Unfortunately, she passed several years ago. But the memory and words of advice and wisdom always stays with me.
The things that have been, I believe this, that the things that the Lord places in our life through people to instill things within us as little children, even in our mother's womb.
Yes.
That helps to carry us through the journey
Yes.
and the calling that's on our lives. Claudia, I know you say that you're a behind the scenes person, loving on people. You're about to be thrust into the forefront. And I think a lot of times when God places us in positions, it sometimes is uncomfortable. But I see that as him stretching us.
Yes.
He's stretching us because he knows what we're capable of. He knows what he's poured into us. And this is just stretching you to be even a more loving person, even better at your craft, at what you do.
Yes, ma'am. It's funny because about 5 years ago this time, I had called Mike. I was driving home and I called him and I said, hey, I'm going to retire.
Yeah.
And I want to retire in 3 years. And at that time, I didn't know we were moving to Wisconsin. So the Air Force moved us and we went to Wisconsin, and then we retired and we came back here. And Pastor Mack had preached this sermon about a year into my retirement. He was talking about Paul was being taken to prison, and he had stopped on this island. And he said, sometimes in our lives we need periods of rest and restoration. I was like, yeah, Pastor, I'm really enjoying this time off. And he said, but you can't stay on the island of rest and restoration forever. You have to move from there. I was like, I'm not liking this message anymore. And then, and at that time I started volunteering at the church office, and I got to sit under Pastor Mack and under co-pastor Frida, and I've gotten a lot. When I thought I was just volunteering, I didn't realize that God was preparing me for this time and for this role, because I can see what it is to start a church, what it takes to run a church. I've been in the office and in the staff meetings and, all the stuff that we're planning. So it's pretty cool to see how God works things out.
Look at that. So he's had you behind the scenes, preparing you for such a time as this.
As this. I just preached it on Sunday.
Look at this confirmation, and we're so thankful to the McCulloughs for trusting the Lord and trusting the Jesus that is in you too.
Definitely.
For this position here. What message do you want to the people of Dublin, Lawrence County, to have as we close out here? We'll start with you, Miss Claudia.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
What message, and not trying to put you on the spot, but there are people out there that are hurting. There are people out there who feel as though they have no hope. There are people out there who are hurt from churches, discouraged because of a lack of integrity in the church. And you want to reach those people. You want to draw those people to be a part of your ministry, a part of your congregation. And there's so many people out there that need to be healed from hurt, from brokenness.
So for one of the things that we say at Word and Season is that we're a church that is called to love God and love his people. So what I would like to say is, come give us a try. Let us love on you and show you the love of Christ, through our actions. Also, another thing that we say, that we've changed into our into our ministry here recently with our rebranding is caring, community, and connection. So we're focused on caring, on the caring aspect of your relationship, you know, the community. We want to be involved in the community. So if you tell us, you know, what it is that your needs are, you know, we can see if that's something that we can work on, and then staying connected, because ultimately what's important is your connection to God, you know, and to the source. So
That's right.
come on and give us a try.
Very nice.
Sounds like a preacher.
Sounds like
Not at all.
Pastor.
I always want everybody to know that no matter what you're going through, wherever you are in life, that God still loves you. He still wants to be in relationship with you. That try Him again. That He wants you to try Him again. That people may have let you down, but God is there to pick you up. He wants to have a relationship with you. His word says that He'll never leave you nor forsake them. And so to continue to put your trust in God, that no matter what you're going through, He says cast your cares on Him, for He cares for you. And I believe that if you believe that by faith, you'll begin to see things turn around in your life.
Amen. You're absolutely right, Pastor. It's been a pleasure, you two.
Thank you so much for having us.
So we're looking forward to the big date on March the 3rd at 4 p.m.
Yes.
Your installation service.
Installation service, 1617 Telfair Street, Dublin, Georgia, Word and Season Ministries.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you have met the Moody's, Pastor, First Lady, and you've heard about their wonderful children, their journey that they've been on into ministry, where God is taking them, and where they want to be a part of this community. We're glad to have you with us. Congratulations. Godspeed to you. We know that God is in you. He's with you, and He's going to take you to where He needs to take you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the Moody's here, the pastors of Word and Season Ministries, Dublin.